In this video, I'm going to show you a 5-step process Tom, a support engineer, has gone through, transitioned to a high-paying new career in 14 weeks as a project manager without any need of a degree, diploma, certs, or any of that. My name is Nick Stekovich, and I'm a project management consultant, coach, entrepreneur with 17 years managing, leading, and consulting top brands and Fortune 500 companies like Deloitte, Accenture, PwC, and KPMG. For the last 5 years, I've been helping struggling career professionals transition to high-income project managers, finding more purpose and meaning in their lives. So let's dive in and take a look at the 5-step process Tom went through. Step 1. We focused on setting the right foundation to get his mindset right. In other words, tap deep within to eliminate doubt, anxiety, depression, and traces from his past, so he can focus on being an effective leader, ready to take on any challenge. Here's more info on what I'm talking about here. The human mind consists of a subconscious and a conscious mind. Beyond that, there's something called superconsciousness, which is an infinite pool of ideas flowing around as every day, according to Dr. Bruce Lipton. And a belief is essentially a recorded experience consumed by visual, auditory, touch, or smell processors in our brain. And our brain processes real or imaginary experiences, emotions, and beliefs as equal. It cannot tell the difference. So since our brain cannot tell what is real and what is imaginary, it can be tricked and tampered with. That's why when we experience stressful situations, we record them and play them over and over. In other words, when you react to something you don't like, chances are it's because of your past and what you've programmed your mind to react to. Now, this can all trace back to our childhood as early as just a few months, and it's quite shocking, right? Let me share some science behind that. Here's a chart of different types of programming we all go through. As you can see, our subconscious never stops recording. Imagine how much data it's actually storing in just the first 12 years. And so in other words, for us to start reversing some of the programming, according to science, we can only do so by meditation or hypnosis. So what I made Tom do is come up with as many triggers he could remember and start working them one by one. And over the course of a few months, we're able to tackle quite a few major ones. It's still an ongoing process, but we've made a lot of progress. And it's also something that's an ongoing practice for years to come. The most important thing is that he was able to shift his mindset and gain control of most of his major triggers, minimizing stress and focusing on what's important. In step 2, I work with him to master personality types as well as his own in order to be able to manage effective conversations and relationships at work, as PM's main job is managing people. So be able to manage people is definitely not simple when you've got teams of 20, 30, 50, or 100. It's quite challenging for sure. So how do we do it? Well, before we can handle anyone in general, we need to first understand our own personality. And that's what we did with Tom. We made him do a few personality tests with our partner company to get a better understanding of what his strengths and weaknesses are. By the way, before we onboard any student, we have them go through this first so he can understand where to begin and what to focus on. Once we've layered foundations through interactive exercises, he learned all about recognizing vocally and visually how to make out all the different personalities through daily practice with his family, his friends, and people at work. This has not only helped him deal with day-to-day situations, but helped him in interviews with his daughter, with his wife, and everyone around him. It made it so much easier because when you communicate with others as they like to be communicated to and understood, everything becomes simple and easy. For step 3, we've set his PM foundations right to understand how to manage anything that comes along. And that's exactly what helped him excel the timeline, allowing larger projects to come through and make more money. You see, mainstream and everyone looking to transition into project management only talks about certificates, degrees, diploma programs. But the reality is, it's actually teaching and preparing students for what? Exactly. A job, to know what to actually do in real life, or something else. And the fact is, all of these options focus on theory and linear way of thinking, which we all know in the real world doesn't work. So how do you teach someone in that fashion to adapt to projects if each company is doing things on their own? Well, you can't. It's impossible. So what's the solution? Well, like with Tom and every other student, we go through fundamentals, theory, and once we wrap up, we get them to practice everything they've learned on our simulated projects. And this is the key for all of our students. They learn hands-on all the ins and outs of doing the day-to-day work as real project managers, managing waterfall, agile, hybrid projects, so that by week 14, like Tom, they can drop them anywhere and they'll be confident and ready to take on projects. I'll definitely have a few separate videos on this, but in a nutshell, Tom had everything lined up to work in his favor, from setting up the project with a charter, getting his stakeholders down, locking the BRD, WBS, risk register, to having the first 90-day checklist of items to do and be aware of, as well as weekly live support calls with me. This allowed him to take a much quicker, more predictable, and easier path to his results, which will work for anyone following the exact system. Obviously, he wouldn't be able to get the results he got without landing an actual job, which meant having a great resume and knowing how to pass all the interviews. So that's what step 4 is. Now, fun fact, to all the interviewers I've been to, if you were an expert just in that and writing resumes, you'd get jobs all day long without even knowing how to be a project manager. Like, what? You're saying what? What? How is this possible? Yeah, shockingly, most interviewers, and I hope many don't take this the wrong way, are predictable, which means they can be manipulated and tricked into believing you've got what it takes. And sadly, many cases end up like this. But we're not here to talk about that, but what's worked for Tom in our program. So things like the journey, closing remarks and questions, and small talk are just some of the techniques Tom used cleverly to influence his outcomes and be different. Some were of my own creation, others were being borrowed from my mentors like Robert Cialdini, Jordan Belford, Joe Navarro, Peter Drucker, and they're great. He's used them over and over again, and they still work well, which leads us to our last step, step number 5. Where Tom learned how to take all of that we've talked about and packaged it into a high-income consulting, giving him a whole new world of opportunities. No more worrying about income challenges or will there be job next month, next year, or year after. You've got a solid money printing machine that never stops unless you want it to stop. So why was Tom a success story? Because he followed a step-by-step system, which I've translated and put together with my 17 years of practice as a project manager, with hands-on simulators, all PM training tools, as well as resume and interview mastery. He came to all of the weekly live calls, did the homeworks, asked a lot of questions, and kept focused on our initial targeted end date. To be fair, the results of our students vary, and it's solely based on their dedication, their willingness and ability to learn and progress. But Tom is an example that anyone who is determined to transform his life and be a success can make it. It's all about you, the coach, and your belief and hard work. If you want to achieve the same results like Tom and many of our other students, you can get more information about what it is and how it's like. Follow me on Instagram as I post content like this every single day. For those that are ready to start a new career in project management, have had enough, and are looking for guidance and a coach to get you there, apply for a consult call below, fill out the short survey, we'll see if you qualify, and take it from there. For more videos like this and a ton of new content coming your way, make sure to hit the subscribe button now.